We all have to eat. You might as well find out where the best food is. From restaurant reviews to the fun of food from around the region to around the world. This is The Food Show with Andrew Coppolino on 570 News.
And good afternoon and welcome to The Food Show. It is Andrew Coppolino and it is 570 Food Show, and we're glad to be here every Sunday afternoon, and I'm really happy that you were able to join us here for yet another version of The Food Show. It's an action-packed show. We got lots and lots of stuff to give away. I think this is the biggest giveaway show ever. We're giving something away in just about every segment, and I want you to be able to participate in that. So mark down the number now, 519-570-2545. Star 570 on your cell. That's 519-570-2545, star 570 on your cell. We'll be asking you in the next course of the show, of each segment. You have a chance to win some pretty cool prizes, I think, and we'll be asking some sort of, what do you call those, skill testing questions, I guess, for our caller. So be prepared. We have a bit of a cheese theme going on in the show today, sort of three anyway. Of two of the four segments have a little bit to do with cheese, and I want to introduce our first guest, and that is Shep Eiselstein of Guns Hill Artisan Cheese. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew.
You made it in from on your way past here, on your way back to Woodstock, from where you hail from Toronto. You found the location okay here in big old, mean old, bad old K-Town?
No problem at all.
And, of course, someone who is very familiar to the show and a guest frequently here, and we're always pleased to have him in studio with us. It's Nick Benninger, chef, owner, operator, culinary inspiration behind Nick and Nat's Uptown 21 Food and Drink. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. I like the hat. That's not a food-themed hat, though, is it?
No, not a food-themed hat. They don't always have to be.
They don't always food. That's good to see. You'll be able to sort of separate that from your life a little bit. Sometimes. Yeah. Good to have you. It's Uptown 21's Iron Chef style event time of the year, and Nick will be telling us a little bit about what's coming up on that great occasion. And we'll be sitting tight to hear from Nick in just a moment. And also, one of the premier food shows in, I would say, probably southwestern Ontario, if not larger, is about to happen here in town at the Kitchener Auditorium. The Grand River Shows people are putting on something called the Food and Drink Show, and we're very happy to have a guest who's been on the show as well, Simon Dowrick, who runs the show, I guess, for the Grand River Shows.
I guess I do. Thanks, Andrew.
Welcome here. It's you rode your bike.
I did ride.
You're a brave man. And what is it? I'm just going to check. It looks like it's about. Where's my temperature here? It's 2 degrees out. You're a hero.
It's cold. It is.
But you're from the south of England, isn't it? Kind of windy and blustery and cold there.
It's very windy. Yep, reminding me of home, biking along.
Pretty exciting though. The food show coming up. This is a big event, food and drink show. It's huge.
It's exciting. There's lots and lots going on. We've been working on it very diligently for about 7 months. So it is a big show. There's no doubt about it. And it's just the start of things to come. So we want this to be much bigger and better in the future. Just to start off, we've got a trip to Spain as the door prize.
Well, that's excellent. You know, the thing about the sort of the smaller version, I guess, was the expo, was it was very popular. It was very well attended, and so obviously there's an appetite for it, if I can use an appropriate food term.
Absolutely.
So congratulations and best wishes.
Yes, very good.
Now, also joining me on the line right now, because this is an important event that we want to talk about, the AIDS Committee of Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo and area is presenting A Taste for Life. By dining at selected restaurants, you can help people living with HIV and AIDS. And Lynn Kashybeck is Aqua's Director of Operations. She's on the phone to tell us more about A Taste for Life. Hello, Lynn. Are you there?
Hello. How are you, Andrew?
I'm good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having us on.
Just tell us a little bit about what AQUA does, the AIDS Committee of Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo and area.
For sure. We support people who are living with HIV, people who are affected by HIV, and those that are at risk. And we do that through programs, through services. Sometimes we help them with food vouchers and medical transportation and that kind of thing, too.
Now, in order to raise money for people living with HIV and AIDS, you've put together a food-based event, I guess, and food is very popular, I think, for driving people into the sort of the social profit, charity, sort of goodwill vein. Tell us a little bit about what A Taste for Life is.
A Taste for Life originally came from the United States, and it's been happening in Ontario for, I think it's over 15 years now, and this is Aqua's 7th year. So there are 20 communities across Ontario that are doing a Taste for Life on the same night across the board, and we are all aid service organizations that are raising funds for our clients.
There are, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about six or seven restaurants associated with this, participating restaurants. Tell me what those restaurants are and how people can actually participate.
For sure. We have 7 restaurants in Waterloo Region. We have VJ's Indian Cuisine, Fireside Deli and Family Restaurant, and the Silver Spoon, Ember's Restaurant and Lounge that is in the Holiday Inn on Fairway Road. Those are all Kitchener. And then we have the Jane Bond in Waterloo and Angel's Diner in Cambridge. Okay,
so we've got 3 cities involved. That's great. The basic here is you go to the restaurant, you pay your bill, from which 25% is partitioned off, I guess, for Aqua, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. On Wednesday, April 25th, from 5 p.m. until that restaurant closes, 25% of both your food and your drink bill gets donated to Aqua.
Perfect. Give us a website so people can go and check a little bit more about this great program.
Definitely. www.atasteforlife.org. You can check out every city across Ontario on that website.
Perfect. Thank you very much for joining me, Lynn. It's appreciated that you've taken the time to talk to us and give people an opportunity to give back into their community and help out people living with HIV and AIDS. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope everybody decides to go dine out and make their meal count.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Lynn Kashubek. She's the Director of Operations with Aqua. And A Taste for Life runs on April 25th, starting at 5 p.m., and you can visit it at atasteforlife.org. Well, there we go. A good cause, and I think, Nick, this is something that you can probably speak to quite knowingly, the idea of generating support in the community through events at restaurants. It's a very popular event.
Yeah, restaurants are often called on to support in different ways like that, and that's a good creative way to get restaurants involved without too much commitment on their part. And
obviously you can speak from experience here too as well. I mean, if I am sort of thinking about that I want to support this idea, and I think I've never been to VJ's before, I go, I try it, I like it, and VJ's has the benefit of getting a new customer. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that's the idea behind it, is the restaurant gives a little bit, but they also get some good exposure out of it, and hopefully they see some people they've never seen before. Yeah. So.
I want to do a little movie review here. I watched a movie last night. Oh, I should tell everybody I'm speaking, of course, with Nick Benninger, Uptown 21, Shep Eiselstein of Guns Hill Artisan Cheese, and Simon Dowrick of Grand River Shows. And you can watch and see what we all look like here by going to the 570news.com website and click on the webcast button, and you can see all the really dynamic, action-packed stuff that's happening here in the studio. I want to do a little bit of a movie review here. This movie called Toast that I watched last night. I just want to alert people to it. It might be worth the $5 or whatever it costs to rent it, or if you can find it online, or however you do it. It's got Helena Bonham Carter in it. She's the big name in it. I don't know if you know a lot of Tim Burton movies. Helena Bonham Carter, I think, plays a part. It's about Nigel Slater, who is a food writer from Britain, and it's about sort of him growing up as a youth in England in the 1960s. And Simon, this might have, I think he's from Wolverhampton. I don't know if you know Wolverhampton. They're a Premier League EPL team.
Top place.
Wolverhampton. Is it? I bet it's a small little dumpy town. Is that what you're saying? No phone calls or messages, please, about that comment. I liked the first part of the movie quite a bit. I mean, when the youth, his parents can't cook. His mother refuses to cook, and he's just hungering. He's just dying for good food, and he's just begging her to cook all the time. It's really quite charming. Quaint, nice little movie, I would describe it as. It kind of faltered for me a little bit in the middle. It kind of seemed to lose its way a little bit as a story. And eventually he grows into his sexual awakening, I guess, shall you say. But he also realizes that he wants to be a cook, and off he goes, and he ends up at the Savoy, I think, in London. A very interesting food-based movie, but ultimately, I think I could only qualify it as a quaint, interesting little movie, not a great movie. But it was fun to see the food themes in here, and a lot of the, he did mention the Cornish pasties and pasties, and so one was with corned beef, Fray Bento's corned beef. Yeah.
I can't say I've ever heard of that one. That must be a Wolverhampton pasty.
Maybe.
Not a Cornish pasty.
Not a Cornish pasty, yeah.
Can't afford a bit of steak in there, can they?
Give it a try. It's called Toast, the story of a boy's hunger, and it really isn't that. Don't read anything into that subtitle. It's not like that movie. It's based on the award-winning memoir by Nigel Slater, and I just picked it up at the local video
Fantastic.
store.
I'll have to borrow that from you,
Okay.
Andrew.
Yeah, give it a go. I mean, like I say, it really held my interest for the first little while. It sort of tailed off a little bit in the middle. And there were some interesting, funny things happening with food. There becomes a little bit of a competition in it where Helena Bonham Carter starts cooking all these wonderful dishes. She's like the cleaning lady for this family, but she can cook wicked apple pies, these gigantic deep dish pies. And
she's obviously not English then, is she?
Well, yeah, she's English. She's an anomaly. Is that what you're saying?
I would say that, yeah. It sounds like my childhood, actually, but there we go.
Does it? Well, I don't want to make any judgments on English cooking, but I think this was the era where even in the restaurants they were just pulling out bags of frozen stuff, throwing them into a boiling pot of water, and that was making its way out onto the pub table. So there is a sort of I guess there is a little bit of truth to that boil your food mentality from England.
Well, hey, you watch Ramsay on Kitchen Nightmares, you still see it.
You still see it?
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is time. It goes so fast when we're here. We do have to take a break. I'm Andrew Coppolino, and this is The Food Show. We have a few short commercials to send to you, but when we return, it's time to look into the new season of Iron Chef at Uptown 21 and Nick Benninger's locale, and we'll talk to Nick right after this. This is 570 News.
This is The Food Show with Andrew Coppolino. Now back to The Food Show with Andrew Coppolino on 570 News.
Careful what you say, Simon. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we are back again. Enjoying a little rock lobster. And welcome back. This is The Food Show. What can I say? We have here a tweet that says from somebody named Mistress K of Os. I don't know if I've got her Twitter handle right. And she's just said, just made prosciutto asparagus mushroom frittata with Guns Hill washed rind medium yesterday. Isn't that cool?
Wow.
Right here on the show. There you go. The popular Uptown Waterloo restaurant, Nick and Nat's Uptown 21, raised over $3,000 for the food bank of Waterloo Region by pitting restaurant against restaurant in its hugely popular Iron Chef-style event. It's season 4 coming up, and Nick Benninger is going to tell us a little bit more about 4 years running now. It's been going great. Hi.
Yeah, it's an event we've had a lot of fun with, and the community's really come out to support it, so it's been a huge success, and we're excited to start our 4th season in May. May 2nd is our first battle, so we're excited to get it going.
Tell us a little bit about the format. I mean, a lot of people who listen to this show obviously know a little bit, but if there's people out there who maybe haven't heard before, how do you structure it over the course of the event? We have about 7 weeks of competition, so we do 6 weeks of just restaurant versus restaurant. So they come to the restaurant on Wednesdays after service. At about 9:30, we switch the kitchen over to them. So we'll have 2 restaurants compete against each other in the kitchen at the same time, and it's just like you see on TV. We feature a secret farm instead of a secret ingredient. So the farmers come in and they're the actual judges, and their ingredient is the secret ingredient the chefs have to work with. The chefs have an hour to cook, just like the show, and they go for it. And then at the end of 6 weeks, we arbitrarily pick the 2 favorites, just sort of amongst ourselves, me, Nat, and our sous chef. There's some points involved, but for most part, it's who bought us the most beers and who we'd like to see back. Okay.
And then they come back for a championship.
We appreciate
battle.
your honesty.
They come back for a final, and that's that. We feature local and out-of-town restaurants, and it's a ton of fun. Everyone who's done it, win or lose, says they haven't had that much fun cooking in a long time.
Yeah. So. How did you twig upon this idea? What sort of prompted it, I guess?
We saw it at a restaurant in Hamilton years back when I worked there. They would do it on Sundays. The restaurant was closed, and it was simply an industry thing. Chefs would show up. You'd literally raise your hand, who wants to go tonight, and you'd go. And it was purely for industry. So when we started it, that was actually the only concept involved. We didn't have a charity. We didn't have any sponsors. We just opened our kitchen up on Wednesday nights to whoever would come out. The first battle was actually my mom versus my sous chef's mom, because it wasn't exactly chefs lining up.
Baby steps.
Yeah, exactly. And it just took off from there. We had chefs that would watch the first couple battles, say, I've got to be a part of this, and it ballooned from there, and it kind of came from was supposed to be fun just for us after work, turned into a job because it became so successful. We've had to charge ticket price at the door in order to kick some money out to a charity.
Minimal ticket price.
Yeah, it's $5. It all goes towards the charity, like 100% of the $5. So then we do some raffles too. We'll raffle off judges' seats every night. That's a huge generator for some cash. And we also ask people to bring donations, like food donations.
A great awareness raiser for, not only what you're doing at the restaurant, but also I think for the other restaurants that participate as as, of course, the food bank itself.
And that's been the huge benefit is that it just promotes what's going on in this region so much, especially when we've got some great restaurants coming from further away. We've got the Ancaster Old Mill. We've got the Only on King in London coming. So when we get these bigger restaurants coming from out of town to compete against our chefs, it shows that KW is getting some credibility out there. And I think the chefs locally take a ton of pride in it. And we as a restaurant don't compete because it's not about us showing what we're doing at the restaurant. It's more about showcasing who's in this region and how much fun they're having cooking. So,
have you found that this is being? I think I agree with you in terms of people looking into this region when they start hearing about it. Of course, social media is great because there's no publicity about this except yours truly and what you do through Twitter and your contacts. People looking into this region now, like you say, the credibility factor. Have you seen maybe other restaurants starting to invite these other restaurants from our regions out into those other areas? I know you get involved with stuff that happens in Toronto now more and more.
Yeah, we for sure. And that's a big part of it. And social media is a key in making sure people know you've done that. I mean, I can go do an event in Toronto and no one will know about it because it's just a small little restaurant. But when I get on Twitter and talk about it a lot and toot my own horn, it really gets out there. And yeah, I think that's a key in kind of. I think KW has a bit of a little brother mentality. We don't think we have a food scene, and it's our own sort of opinion of ourselves. So when people know you're dealing with other cities or other bigger name restaurants, it really goes a long way in us believing in ourselves kind of thing, and people thinking, if other people recognize there's a food scene here, then maybe it's time I did too. So
one of the things that I found really interesting about it, having witnessed several of them, is that it's not only the fans of your restaurant and those other restaurants that are the competitors, but it's also other industry people that do show up. So you get this sort of, I don't want to say the behind the scenes look necessarily, but it's just restaurants that they don't get together socially because they're always in restaurants working. And so this is an opportunity for a couple of restaurants from this region for the guys to stand in the audience, have a drink, and watch the events. It's really fun.
For sure. And we always, there's this joke of like in the industry, we always lie to each other about how many people we did. You exaggerate. You don't want to really, no, it wasn't slow at our place last night.
Okay.
But at these events, it's like all the curtains are drawn, everyone's open, and there's such a mix of farmers, chefs, and customers, and they're just bumping shoulders. You don't know who's and people really enjoy the openness of it all, I think.
And the next one starts
May 2nd.
May 2nd, good. And they can go to uptown21.ca to find out more information.
Yep, or follow us on Twitter at NN Uptown21.
Right. Let's talk about another event that was just there because I want to say the steak dinner that was that you put together recently, based on Mark Schatzker's book Steak: One Man's Search for the World's Tastiest Piece of Beef, was quite a success. And I've been to a couple of these as well. And this one had a really, really great dynamic. There was a lot of energy. I think people were very excited about the sort of the format of the evening.
Yeah, it was a fun event for sure. And I think when you do a steak dinner, it's a little more. There's a different atmosphere than when you do a wine dinner, for certain. We had set the dining room up in long beer-style tables, so I think that contributed to a more a bigger buzz in the room. But so we did a menu based entirely on steak. We did steak tartare, we did grilled tongue, and then we did the vertical tasting of steaks where we compared grocery store beef to the beef we serve at the restaurant, the Charles Quality Meat extra long dry aged beef, and the Wagyu beef grass-fed from New Zealand. And Mark talked us through them all and why they're different and the feeds and whatnot, and it was a really it was a great event.
What did you think about those two? I mean, the commodity beef obviously had its sort of place, but the Charles Quality and the New Zealand grass-fed Wagyu, those were, I thought, very close in terms of flavor. I thought that to me, it seemed like the Wagyu, almost like it was sauced. I know it wasn't, but there was just a richness when you chewed it that just filled your mouth, and it was quite lovely. Did you find that? Or?
I agree completely. There's a great mouthfeel to the Wagyu. It's grass-fed, so it has a certain flavor to it as well. But you're right. It's almost like we had poured butter on it at the end, and it has a nice gloss to it. The Charles Quality Meat, it's dry aged for 50 days, so it has a much firmer mouthfeel, which I really appreciate too. And then the commodity beef seemed to have like more of a pasty sort of grainy, like tender to the point of is this tender or is this pasty?
Well, it also, too, was what I noticed when I was chewing it and it was breaking down. It's awful to talk about the process of mastication on air, but hey, we're in the food business. We have to do it. When it broke down, the juices that were released were, to me, just water.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they were, but they were watery, I guess.
And that's where you see that difference in the Wagyu, is those juices were like lubricant in your mouth, you know, and there's more good radio talk.
Okay.
But, I mean, it helps you chew it, and it just makes it such a more pleasurable experience.
Right. And in terms of cooking it, I mean, it's like apples and oranges. Did you try to find cuts relatively the same?
We did all ribeyes.
And so all ribeyes and all cooked.
We grilled them all.
To be fair, and you were
and
fair.
Salt only, no pepper.
Salt,
everything had its same treatment. We didn't put any mustards or sauces on the table. Forcing people to just pay attention to the beef and what you're tasting and why you think it's good. And Mark was really good, too, about not pushing his opinion on anybody and saying, you're going to come to your own conclusions about this. I just want you to think deeper about it.
He just about lost the whole audience, though, and he started talking about all the hormones and stuff. Anyway, this is a really cool idea, and I'm glad when we're talking about the food scene locally here in any region, but specifically in Waterloo region, I think it's really great when a restaurant can get together with a group like the Wordsworth Book people who help you out on this, and who are obviously the partner, I guess, in it. And it just creates just some really great electricity and some interest and education, I think, is the other thing as well. People really learned a lot from that meal. We want to give. I thought the book was good too. I really enjoyed the book, and he's a great guy and a great writer. And we're going to give a book away. We have a book here, and all we need is Catherine over there in the control panels and the control tower. We want the third caller calling in at 570-2545 star 570 on your cell, 570-2545 570 on your star 570 on your cell. You have to tell me the name of the butcher that was mentioned here by Nick for supplying some of the meat, and the third caller will win steak, courtesy of Nick and Nat's Uptown 21 and Wordsworth Books as well. Well, we've come to the end of yet another segment of the show. We have to take a short brief, and I want to thank Nick Benninger, of course, for coming in. Yeah, I hope you'll stay with us for the rest to learn a little bit more about cheese. Oh, I gotta serve you this cheese right now. So my son's girlfriend's family are Turkish, and they made this homemade cheese. It's like a halloumi cheese, and they call it halim. And I just cut up a few little chunks. It's homemade, so give it a try while we're going into the commercial break. We do have to take a break, and I want you to stay tuned, though, because coming up is cheese and more about Grand River shows when we return. You are listening to 570 News.
Tomorrow, you might as well find out where the best food is. From restaurant reviews to the fun of food from around the region to around the world. This is The Food Show with Andrew Coppolino on 570 News.
And there we go. Welcome back once again. This is the third segment of The Food Show. I love that guy's voice, that announcer's voice. I was just traveling through the United States, going down to the Florida area, and I heard his voice on radio stations all the way through there. So this
really?
guy, seriously, he's carved out a really great. And now he's got just the greatest pipes.
Oh, he just lived on Charles Street.
I did too. I thought you guys got really lucky with your announcer.
Ooh. Okay, so here we go. Mr. Benninger, we have a winner, I believe, from our little contest about the steak and the butcher. Catherine, we have a caller on the line who has the right answer. Hello, are you there?
Hello?
Hi, Christiana?
Hi there. It's actually Mistress K of Off.
Oh, is it? Okay, all right. So now, did I pronounce your name right, Christiana?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Well, the question was about the butcher, and we're going to throw it over to Nick now, and he'll ask you if you got the right answer.
So do you know who supplied us with our 50-day dry-aged steaks?
Hang on. I'm having trouble. I'm still getting the radio station or something over the phone line. Okay. I can't actually hear you very well.
Okay. We can hear you fine, so just stay with us. We'll get Catherine to see if we can work that out. You've got your radio off and everything?
Yes, radio is off here.
All right. And Catherine, can we get a clear line here?
There we go. Yeah,
okay, you can hear.
Perfect now.
All right. Nick will ask you the question again.
So do you know who supplies us with our 50-day dry-aged steaks?
Drum roll, please.
Oh, good grief.
Oh, no.
I'm trying to remember the name of the farm. I'm cooking while I'm listening. It's very difficult.
That's good to hear. That's the way we like it.
Oh, thank you. No, it's not Guns Hill. That's the cheesery, dear.
Yeah. You're getting some you're throwing a lifeline out.
My husband's trying to be wonderfully helpful.
Nothing. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh,
well,
sorry.
make sure you stay on the line
stay
and
on the
listen
line to
so
learn.
you know where to find the best
Catherine,
steaks.
can we get another caller up? Thank you for calling, Christina. We appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Okay. And we have another caller now. Hello, are you there?
Hello?
Hi, are you calling in for the food show? It's Andrew here.
Yes, I am.
Good. Nick's going to ask you the question, and if you get the right answer, you win the book.
Do you know where we at Uptown 21 get our 50-day dry-aged steaks?
Charlie's Fine Meats.
I think we can take that, right?
I think we can take that.
Charles Quality Meats.
Okay, That's great. What's your name?
My name's Larry Alcock.
Larry, if you could just stay on the line and give your details to our operator here in the studio, we'll make sure that this book is ready for you to be picked up. But I want to thank you. It is, in fact, called Steak, One Man's Search for the World's Tastiest Piece of Beef, and it is Charles Quality Farm. You got the answer. Thanks very much for calling.
Okay, thank you.
Andrew, I feel bad about the other caller. Let's give us some tickets.
Okay.
Food
all
and
right.
drink show, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. That's
There we
a
go.
great.
Give
Thank
both
you,
of them some
Simon.
tickets.
Okay, that's
There
great.
we go.
Excellent. Okay.
Done.
We'll get Catherine to call Christina back as well. That's a great idea, Simon. Thank you. You see, these event guys, they see to all the details.
They know how to roll with it.
We got the tickets. Let's go.
Just a note that a future food show we'll be talking about the Gourmet Trail Restaurant Crawl, which is a great fundraiser for the Kids Link organization. Make sure you check that show out. That's probably going to be coming, I think, next week. The Gourmet Trail for Kids Link, a great event to help kids. Many of our food trends have moved from towards smaller producers and what might be called artisanal foods. Now, that much is in the name of the company run by our next guest, Shep Eiselstein, a dairy farmer who is producing fine cheese in Woodstock, Ontario. It's called Guns Hill Artisan Cheese. You've been sitting here very patiently, champing at the bit to talk about cheese. How are you doing, Shep?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. It's great that you could come in. And I know that Nick is probably pretty interested, too, as a cook and learning a little bit more about cheese, and Simon just because he loves food. So tell us a little bit about who you are, the farm, some of the background that people will know about what is really a cheese that's produced pretty close to Waterloo region here in our backyard.
Yeah, definitely. We're only about a half an hour away from here. And I guess we're just a brand new cheese company. We started up making cheese in August of last year. And finally, now that the cheese is starting to get aged a bit, they're starting to develop their flavors and kind of getting to the point where I'm happy to try and get them out there.
Okay.
But more or less kind of where it comes from is our family has a dairy farm. I'm one of 5 brothers, and so we're all kind of independent and strong-minded people, and so there's not really enough room on one farm for all these strong-headed boys. So I was off in university, and I had visited a small on-farm cheesemaker up in Thunder Bay. And I thought, wow, what an interesting idea, really neat idea. I came home, I was milking cows for a couple of years, and I really enjoy life on the farm, but milking cows wasn't for me, especially morning and night every single day. And I started to think about, what's something else that I can do that's related to the dairy, but not exactly the same. And this thought about making cheese came back up. And so I started a process of actually looking into cheese making.
Oh, sorry, what kind of cows are they again? Did you say?
Oh, we have a dairy farm, Holstein cows.
Holsteins, okay.
Yeah, so our family's a Dutch family, and typically Dutch people milk Holstein cows.
Oh, good to know.
That's where they come from. So I had started to look into making cheese, and at first, as all gung-ho, I thought, no problem, I can get right into this. I realized pretty quickly that I knew very little about cheese making and even less about running a cheese business. And so I took a process of learning how to make cheese, and so spent time in upstate New York. I spent a summer making cheese in the Swiss Alps, which is one of the best parts of my experience.
I bet.
And then I also worked in BC on Vancouver Island for about a year making cheese there as well.
Because I was going to ask, how did you learn how to make cheese?
Yeah,
and,
those are kind of some of the steps that
Now,
I
when you
took.
say you're learning to make cheese, is this is it a hands-on process when you go to Switzerland or when you're in BC? Is it actually a hands-on process, or where you're sort of learning chemistry, the inoculation or whatever that needs to happen with cheese, or is it more sort of a shadowing thing where you're observing it happen?
No, it's a very, very much a hands-on process. So when you're making cheese in the small scale, a lot of making cheese is about how it feels, how it looks, how it tastes. And so you can't really get that feel or that look or that taste without actually doing it. And so I did take a couple of short classes at University of Guelph, University of Vermont, that more focused on milk chemistry, but the actual feel is the important part of it.
I think Vermont is recognized sort of as the #1 cheese artisanal manufacturing center in North America, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got
a
large number of small-scale cheesemakers there. Also in New York State, Wisconsin. I think Ontario is really quite far behind.
Is it? Now, where are you in the cheese process right now? You described that you sort of have to learn this. Are you up to a half dozen cheeses, 3 cheeses? What's the ratio that you're working with?
So we're producing 3 types of cheese right now, and more or less all 3 of them are based on lesser known types of Swiss cheese. And so they kind of go on a scale. One is our soft cheese. We haven't taken the time or been creative enough to come up with unique names for them yet. But the soft cheese is just kind of a milder, creamier, younger cheese. It's about a month old. It's a wash-drying cheese as well, which basically means that we scrub the outside of the cheese with salt water every other day, and a type of bacteria that enjoys that climate and that environment starts to grow and forms this nice orangish, brownish coating on the cheese called the rind. Our second cheese are semi-firm. It's a combination between the recipes of Gouda and Appenzeller. Appenzeller is another type of Swiss cheese that comes from the north of the country. And then the third is our firm cheese, which is a typical mountain-style cheese. So for that one, I make it very similar to how we were making cheese when I worked in Switzerland.
Is this a gradable cheese, or is it not gradable?
It's not gradable at this point in time. If I gave it a couple of more years, it would get to that point. Right now, it's still quite young. It's about 5 months old right now. I'd really like to get it to a year old to have a good flavor to it, and perhaps someday down the road, 2 to 3 years old even.
What are we talking about here? How many dozens of wheels of cheese would there be sort of in the, affinage program or process where it's aging? How do you store this stuff? How much is on hand?
So I've got a large aging room, which I call it, but basically there's these long rows of wood planks, and all the cheeses are sitting on the wooden planks, and they're basically aging. And it's cool in there. It's about 12 degrees Celsius. It's high humidity, so the outsides don't dry out. And like I said, every other day we're going through there. We're flipping every single cheese over. There's probably about 600 to 700 different cheeses in there right now.
Wow.
They come in different sizes. The big ones are like 25 kilograms, so they're large wheels. The smaller ones are about 2 kilograms, and the medium size about 5.
Okay. And what's the reception been like? I mean, have you found a good market for these cheeses? Is it in specialty shops? Tell us a little bit about where, especially locally too, here in the Waterloo region, where people might find Guns Hill.
Yeah, so we've started out focusing mostly at the actual cheese plant. I have a small little shop there. And what's cool about that is you can come in, you can see the whole cheese production area through these big, large windows, like nothing's hidden. You can see the aging room on the video screen and watch a video about how we make it. And then all around the property is the actual farm where all the cows are and the fields that are providing the feed for those animals. And now that it's finally getting old enough, I've started to supply to other small cheese shops, more specialty restaurants that are kind of focusing on local foods. Here in Kitchener, I've just started to sell at Vincenzo's, actually. And coming up soon, May 12, we're doing a Meet the Maker event at Vincenzo's, so I'll be there sampling the cheese out, and people can come in and taste it.
Let me throw it over to you, Nick, for a moment. Just that whole idea of having local on your menu is obviously a big part of what you do, but what about the cheeses? Do you search for producers that do have that local quality? I know you've had Ruth's cheese on there.
Yeah.
Are there others that you have access to? Is it growing? Is it becoming easier for you?
As he said, it's an underserviced thing in Ontario for sure. That's why as soon as I saw him, I was asking where I could get his cheeses. But yeah, we do. We have C'est Bon Chèvre from St. Mary's. We serve Millbanks cheeses, their curds and their cheddars. We get some nice sheep's milk fetas. There are cheeses out there available, and they're delicious. There's not as plentiful as some other maybe regions. But cheese especially is something that a lot of restaurants can afford to serve, even with a local themed restaurant. You can have gorgeous local cheeses, but you can also have some gorgeous cheeses from Europe or whatever because they age so well.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to try some of these cheeses.
Yeah, I like the idea too. I mean, I always try to eat local stuff. There's no doubt, but to have a nice piece of gorgonzola or Roquefort or something like that, and really a lot of times I find a lot of these cheeses that we do right here in Ontario, they have really great qualities and stand up to a lot of stuff that's recognized as some of the best in the world. Shep, you'll be at the Food and Drink Show. You'll have a booth there, and people can come by and say hello?
Yeah, exactly. We'll probably be serving 2 different types of cheese there and letting people try them out. If they want, they can purchase them there. But food and drink shows have gone over really well, and I've heard a lot of great things about the one here in Kitchener, and so I'm really looking forward to going.
Give us a website where people can go to visit, and they can actually visit physically and come, watch the cheese being made and all that stuff. But give us people an idea where they can go to get more information.
Yeah, the best way to find some information is on our website. It's www.gunshillcheese.ca, and Guns is Gunns.
Is there really a hill called Gun? Guns?
Yes, there's actually a hill.
Okay.
You know, if you go at the back of my cheese plant, it just drops right off.
Okay.
And we're looking at having one of those cheese rolling events.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
That'd be brilliant, isn't it?
That's brilliant. That's right. Thanks a lot. That's Shep Eiselstein of Guns Hill Cheese, gunshillcheese.ca for more information. Don't go away. There's more here on The Food Show. Right after these messages, we'll talk with Simon Dowrick of Food and Drink Show, a Grand River Show's production. You are listening to 570 News.
This
Remember this tune?
My first album.
Welcome back again to The Food Show. Our last segment, Time Flies When You're Having Fun. We've certainly been talking about a variety of things, and including livestock. So the question is to win a cheese basket of Guns Hill cheese, as well as some tickets to the Food and Drink Show, courtesy Simon Dowrick of Grand River Shows. You have to tell us, let's just do the second caller, the name of the cows that you will find at Guns Hill Artisan Cheese. The name of the cows. Second caller in, and Catherine, if you could take care of that, they'll win a basket of cheese, lovely basket of Guns Hill cheese, and some tickets. And you have to get it right. Okay, this time we're no fudging allowed, because this should be standard stuff. I think everybody should know this one. Now, every year, Grand River Shows puts on a number of popular lifestyle and food shows, and each year they just seem to get bigger and bigger. Coming up is the really big Food and Drink Show, and Simon Dowrick is here, and he leads the charge in all of this sort of great exposition of the food and drink and beverages and cooking stuff and culinary things that are happening in Waterloo region. So welcome, Simon, again.
Thank you.
It's an exciting time for you. I don't know, it's a busy one.
It's very busy, very stressful, but the dream is coming alive. The bad thing about this show is I've created something I'd really like to go to, but I'm working tonight, so I can't enjoy it the way that most people will. But there's so many things happening, and it's very similar to the other shows in Hamilton and London and Toronto, but in true Waterloo region style, we've tried to do things differently, add more value, and make it a lot more fun. So we've got 4 distinct areas in the show. We've got about 60, 70 different booths. We've got an entertainment stage with a Beatles cover band, 5-piece jazz, Celtic band, all kinds of things. We've got a live cooking demo stage with Anna Olsen from the Food Network,
Wonderful.
Chef D. We've got and Cuddles Catch, of course, are the presenting sponsors. So they've got like 7 different booths in the show. PEI mussels. We've got catfish, sushi. They've even got a Cuddles to Go booth, so that at the very end of the evening or the day you want to buy some frozen product, you can do that with a show special. Trip to Spain. We've got a tasting theater where we've got 3 or 4 different sommeliers coming in and doing all kinds of tastings, mainly on Ontario wines. So this show is really, really about Ontario. There are some imported wines that you'll find in the show, but we've got lots of craft brewers. We've got Railway City just won a big award for their Dead Elephant beer. We've got Creemore, Granville, Grand River Brewery. There's just so many things happening.
What's kind of neat about this is when you think of Waterloo region and people coming into the region, you obviously think of the sort of the high tech end of things, and there's all the stuff that flows out of the University of Waterloo, startups, RIM, open text, all that kind of stuff. But this is sort of a good down to earth, your hands-in food, basic stuff, and it's nice to have that part of the spectrum represented as well.
Absolutely, and we're actually partnering with Grand River Hospital, so everyone that leaves their glass, if they don't want to take the souvenir glass home, they leave it behind, we'll donate $1 to the hospital. We're bringing in pinball machines, so everyone that plays the pinball machines for $1, all that money will go to the hospital. We've got a VIP lounge area where we're going to be doing photographs on a red carpet. We've got a photo booth, got a DJ. There's we've got the Thursday night, the VIP night, we're doing a silent auction. All proceeds go to the Grand River Hospital. There's so many things happening that it's all local. It's great. Everyone's going to have a really good time, and we're very, very prepared for the thousands.
The cooking demonstrations are on a stage with the overhead mirrors and whatnot, so people can actually learn some techniques from Jeremy Salmon from Langdon Hall. A lot of great local chefs as well. Absolutely,
and the other shows you go to, they have the mirror, the classic mirror, but we have it's all digital, right? In true Waterloo region, it's Christie digital projector. So an eye over the stage shoots what they're cooking. We throw it back on a big screen and 2 flat screen TVs either side.
Okay.
So everyone can see exactly what's going on.
So the high-tech world does land in the culinary world.
It certainly does.
Only in Waterloo region.
That stage is sponsored by the Kitchener Market, so there's lots of things, different things happening there. And every seminar, I believe, they're giving away a decent prize as well.
So give us the dates when this is happening. People can sign in. The dates
are this Thursday, so April 26th, it's 5 till 10. And then Friday and Saturday, it's 3 till 10 both days. I will say that if you are planning on going to the show, go early because we do have certain capacities that we're limited to because of the AGCO and the fire precautions, that kind of thing. So we do anticipate a lot of people coming. The expo, we had 5,000 people. This show's a lot bigger, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
And it takes place at the
Kitchener Auditorium Memorial Complex. Yeah, and
Beautiful
we actually
complex.
dodged the bullet of the Rangers. The Rangers are playing home on Wednesday and Sunday, so
lovely.
We were worried about that.
Well, let's just take a break from this now. You've got some tickets to give away.
We
want to get back?
Tickets.
I'll throw the numbers out: 519-570-2545, star 570 on your cell, 570-2545, star 570 on your cell. Now we want to just go over to our cow winner, and have we got her on the line, Catherine? Hello, are you there?
I am.
That was who moved? Someone moved. Was that you? Hi, who's on the line?
It's Carol.
Hey, Carol, how you doing?
Good.
I'm going to throw it over to Shep here, Shep Eiselstein of Guns Hill. He'll ask the question, and you give the answer, and you win the cheese basket.
Yeah, what type of cows do we milk on our dairy farm to produce Guns Hill artisan cheeses?
You have Holsteins, but you didn't say whether they were red and white or black and white.
Oh wow.
I was wondering that, actually.
mostly black and white, couple of red and whites mixed in there.
Good.
Thanks, Carol. If you make sure you give your information to Catherine, you'll also get some complimentary tickets thanks to Simon here of Grand River Shows.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling in. Now, what's the deal with the red cow? I mean, what? I've never heard of that
actually
before.
Holstein cows. Everybody always thinks black and white, but there is a recessive gene that's still actually brown and white, more or less.
Okay, so there's a rusty kind of brown. Is that right? Oh, kind of cool.
They stronger or?
Actually, you know what?
So they run faster?
They're pretty much exactly the same except for the color. But they're just kind of interesting and different.
You can't tip them over, probably. No cow tips.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from.
I don't
can't
either.
Tip any cows.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to try either. They can be quite unruly sometimes, can't they?
They're pretty calm.
Are they pretty calm? Okay.
Yeah.
Frisky, I think the word is.
Simon, we want to give away some tickets to your great program. So what have you got there? We want to have some callers calling in to win some tickets, and I'll just take callers 3, 4, and 5. We'll get a pair of tickets each.
Sure, we've got VIP tickets and we've got regular tickets.
Okay, let's give away a bunch. Can we do that, Catherine? We'll get callers 3, 4, 5, and 6, let's say. Those callers calling in, and we'll give away tickets to the Food and Drink Show, which is coming up at the end of this week. Yep. I want to point out again that Nick Benninger is always available at his restaurant. The brown bag lunch is going spectacularly on Fridays.
Yes.
A unique thing and kind of a funny one, too, because people have really glommed onto that, haven't they?
Yeah, it's gone a little crazy. It's frightening when we open the doors. So.
Well, that's it for the show for this week. I want to thank Simon Dowrick of Grand River Shows, Nick Benninger of Uptown 21, Shep Eiselstein of Guns Hill Artisan Cheese, and Lynn Kashubek of Aqua and a tasteforlife.org. Thanks also to our studio personnel here at 570 News, Greg Bowen in the back doing the camera work, and studio operator Catherine Drake. Visit 570 News for an archive of past shows, and you can follow The Food Show at twitter.com, 570 Food Show, and read my column in the Kitchener Post each and every Friday. Join us again next week. It's KidsLink Gourmet Trail and news of a food truck event in Stratford. That could be interesting. Remember, eat wisely and eat well. And thank you for joining us here at The Food Show, only on 570 News.